Welcome to this episode of Keep the Hotel Empty. I'm your host, Eric Paul. In studio today, we are grateful to welcome in Kei and Steven from detection capabilities company, Trace ID. In this episode, Kei and Steven discuss with us the importance of dependability and safety when detecting drugs and explosives, as well as the future of their products for both personal and professional uses. Please enjoy. Welcome to Keep the Hotel Empty. Today we've kept the hotel empty to welcome in Kei and Steven from the company that has pioneered and developed a test kit that tests in real time for explosives and narcotics here in Manatee County in Sarasota, Trace ID. Welcome, Kei and Steven. How you guys doing?
Doing all right, man. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming. So you guys have a wild background and a lot to talk about and things to show us, and I'm super duper stoked for that. But I kind of want to start with you guys a little bit individually. Where was the part in your life where you decide I'm going to get into doing this sort of work? Because it's kind of a niche thing, kind of a unique thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it kind of starts off with me. This has been started off since a company called Maca Research Group, or Energy Group, and it's been done with my father for the last 12 years, I want to say, and then we recently rechanged our name to Trace ID. I've been at it with him, like I said, for 12 years, and then near the end of high school, I want to say junior year, leading on into senior year, I started hanging out with Kei, met him at car meets and stuff, because I'm a big car nut, mechanical engineering background of my father.
Very cool.
Didn't graduate college with it, but I only high school diploma, that's it. But met Kei at a car meet, and then I was like, you know what? I think I could work with this guy. Why not? Why not? Yeah, I was just like, I could be really cool friends with this dude. And ever since then, we actually needed help at the lab when we were actually rebuilding our machine. It's a Klockner Bartell IM7. It's an intermittent machine. It's really cool. It's from the 70s or late 60s.
Crazy.
And it's old technology. It's awesome. It's cool as hell. I know everything about it.
Camshaft and chain driven.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane.
Those things that were built to work for 50 years.
50 years and it's still going. Holding on together with tape and shoestrings.
So what started that? What were you doing with that machine?
That's what kind of led into, if we backtrack a little bit, Maca Research Group was doing standoff detection for explosives, and we were doing low-frequency radio waves for the military. We were trying to get in a contract with DARPA, and we were using this little dick stick is what we called it, and they would send out low-frequency radio waves, and you try and find out what explosives, because they all have some sort of frequency that comes back at a different level. Kind of out the door with that one. It didn't really work. We're still in the development of it with this new table that we have because the old one wasn't working. And then one day my father was watching the TVs when the Paris bombings were happening, and he goes, that's weird. I think I could figure out how they got through with all that. And that's when he started coming up with all this explosive detection wipe stuff. And then we got a patent for the wipe detection. Well, not the wipe detection, but the wipe itself and its packaging. And that's where the machine came in. But
that was all developed in your family?
No, it's not really developed in the family. It's with Chris Baden and also with my father. But they're mainly the ones who have started this whole company. My father just joined in.
Chris Baden is our CEO, and he's an amazing CEO. He actually lets us just kind of go off and do our research and development at the lab.
Very cool.
His dad, Barry Gorski, is our director of R&D. He's the brainchild of putting the reagents on the wipe and putting it in the packaging that we have. So, and that's kind of where the machine came in.
That's when we needed you to help fix it with us.
Yeah, so I don't mean to backtrack even further, but what's the impetus of starting this business in the beginning?
It was more or less of just, can we actually do it? And somebody told us no. And that got my dad going. He goes, no, don't tell me no. And it really started a ball. It was just somebody told us no, you can't do that. And that's what really started it off, was just that.
So take me to the infant stages of the wipes.
Oof, man.
Oh, okay. So the first,
because that's a really unique idea.
Yeah, the first project that we worked really heavy was called PB33, and that's for peroxide-based explosives. So your HMTD, TATP, MEKP, really explosives that are easy to make at home or accessible to really anybody. I mean, a dude with 8 felonies, all repeat charges, can go out and buy all the shit needed to make HMTD.
And this is what you see commonly in makeshift explosives?
Oh,
Yep.
yes, makeshift explosives when it comes to terrorist grade, well, especially terrorist grade, but, all the recent stuff that's going on and everywhere else, that it's quick relative stuff so you can get at the grocery store.
Gotcha.
I mean, seriously, like hexamine tablets and stuff like that.
I mean, another common one, which the one we brought to demonstrate today, ANFO, that's ammonium nitrate, fertilizer,
Right.
and diesel fuel. It's not hard to get a hold of. So
So in the infant stages of the wipes, you're realizing that this is a problem that isn't going anywhere.
right,
no.
right, and there's what's called Raman systems or Raymond systems on the market right now, which are they're basically mass spec devices. You wipe the substance with a Teflon strip, put it in the device, it'll read from its database and tell you what that is. But those are like $60,000, $100,000, $120,000 machines. Whereas
Which aren't being used in the field, I gather?
yeah, they can, but when it comes to like local police departments, fire departments, EMS, private security institutions, they really don't have a lot of guys running around with those devices in their car.
Right.
A department might have one. And depending on where you're at, how many traffic stops are you doing in a day in which you're looking for narcotics or explosives?
Right.
TSA, they have their machines, but actually Tampa International was really involved with helping us test PB33. We went to TSA, and that was actually the first big thing we were chasing. Was we wanted to be with TSA, get this technology to them, because really it's open, wipe, look.
Right.
Your test is done in a minute.
Right.
Like at most. So really, we went down. We have interns from SCF, which is broad break off, but they come into the lab. We, get them hands on with orgochemistry, production, management, etc. Working with the team.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we went to Tampa International, and they basically contaminated bags with peroxide-based analytes or whatnot. Mm-hmm. Sent the bags through us. We detected all of them. We have a bunch of data on it. Not really suited for a podcast, but
Yeah.
So
What needed to be found was found.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what needed to be found was found, no problem. I mean, they even tried to trick us into cleaning bags, and they even told us that they cleaned a certain spot in the bag, and we ended up finding small trace amounts of it even further down. They go, well, we actually cleaned this. Well, we go,
You didn't clean it that
actually
well.
really didn't clean it that well. Even if we have a small, any color change from the wipe that what it normally is, you have a positive hit. But, that's what gets them.
So
Trace.
basically, we got into narcotics by bringing our explosives products to the NFSTC, which has been rebranded to the GFJC, Global Forensics Justice Center, FIU. And one of their guys over there was like, why aren't you using this with narcotics reagents?
Because at that point, you had only been thinking solely explosives?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So really, we had the bag down. We have the material down. We can put a towelette in a bag. We can put chemical on it. We understand that it has good shelf life. So we basically just look into the narcotics reagents, which, you have the Simon's reagent, which is for methamphetamine, ecstasy, MDMA, which is what we have on our methamphetamine wipe. The Scott's modified reagent, which is the NIJ certified formula for cocaine, crack, etc.
Any byproduct.
Right. And our fentanyl wipe is a bit of a proprietary formula, but it's a safety tool. It's not an enforcement tool.
Right.
You can use the wipes to establish probable cause during a traffic stop, etc. But I'm not an expert on department policy.
Yeah, right. Well, and it's nuanced from place to place.
Exactly. Depending on what department you're in, like
Everybody
you said,
field tests differently.
Exactly. You field test differently. You have different scenarios, different situations you got to deal with. Picture it, bag it. Don't picture it. Only bag it.
Right.
All depends.
So at what point in the lifespan of the wipes are you when it's like, hey, wait a minute, maybe we can diversify these? Did that happen early on?
No, I'd say that happened right before COVID.
Yeah, that was right before COVID.
Yeah, right before COVID.
So the explosives business was well established and you've been doing that for a while.
Right, but more in like the research and development phase. We still have barely gone public with the explosives wipes.
Yeah.
I mean, we're actually just adding that side to our website right now.
Gotcha.
So we ended up going public with the narcotics products first because it was, we're using established reagents by the NIJ. There's already other companies with the cocaine wipes out there. It's just done a little differently.
So the proprietary nature of it does have some flexibility.
Yeah, there is some tweaks that we do regarding acid strengths or acid substitutes.
Right.
Like with the Scott's modified reagent, we substituted the acetic acid for citric acid.
So when you go public with a thing like this, I mean, obviously there's plenty of professions that have or could have a need for the explosives detections, and equally law enforcement and EMS and things with the narcotics detection. But when you go public with this and you're selling it on Amazon, you're definitely making this now available to anyone. That's the idea.
Right.
What do you see average Joe's use of this being? That was what piqued my curiosity.
Well, I mean, at-risk families,
right?
Or families with at-risk children.
Yeah.
It can be easier for non-government established transformation housing, like from inmate back into society.
Right. Yep.
So it makes it easier for them to get a hold of. We're actually going to be branching off and making that its own thing, and of course, our law enforcement customers can buy directly from us.
So I don't want to get too much in the weeds with it, but when you're talking about something where transitional housing or things like that, or even when at-risk homes where you have to kind of keep an eye on people, for want of a better way to put it, how does this functionally work? You're just detecting trace amounts on surfaces where these things had been, or you're actually testing substance?
So it all depends on what you run into, like in that housing. So knowing that kind of area, because I used to have friends that had issues, God bless them, hopefully they're better.
Right.
But it all depends on what it is. Are they a spoon user? Do you gotta find that one spoon, or what edge of the desk are they using, or are they using the toilet? Are they it all depends on the area, and then you gotta kind of know, are they really cleaning up after themselves, or are you gonna catch them slipping?
Right.
It really depends on the situation, or if they're being smart, because some people, when they get into a halfway, they come up with tricks and everything to kind of, so
That's real.
everybody does. There's everybody, like even in racing, no matter what team you're on in NASCAR, it's who cheats the best.
Yeah.
That's the truth. I mean, come on.
They call those dope fiend tactics.
Here to here.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's true though.
Yeah.
It's people finding ways to get through, and so it helps you find out what they're really doing without maybe impeding, or even maybe getting yourself caught doing it, or maybe you are the user and you're too scared to tell somebody, so you have this point to use the Amazon box, that one thing, and then you could just go and pick it up and just try and test it yourself. But you just...
Well, it's funny that you bring that up, because that's actually a question that I really wanted to ask you. Mm-hmm. I did have someone very close to me that passed away of an overdose, and it's a very strong likelihood that he was unaware of the fact that the drugs he was doing had fentanyl in them. Do you see this as a product where people who are professional users, for, again, want of a better way to put it, can ensure a little bit more safety for themselves? Can you essentially test your own drugs?
Yes,
absolutely.
I would hope so, in a way. Make sure you keep yourself safe.
Well, I just didn't know if it worked that way. Like, it's just going to show up positive because it's cocaine and fentanyl.
No.
Obviously, like as a law enforcement military based company, it's not something that we like go out and push.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
No.
But
But now that it's available to everybody,
Right.
someone's going to find their use.
Right, and we have a lot of people that we know that say, this should be on the shelves at CVS, which I
Right.
don't necessarily disagree with. But really, the problem boils down to the law enforcement and military customers that we have. They can be kind of picky about like, oh hey, everybody else can just have this.
This is sort of the Narcan discussion.
Right. So we're taking the public safety route with it, and we're working with several other people to get into harm reduction programs, where we actually distribute the fentanyl wipes with Narcan.
Oh, there you go. That's smart.
So we're kind of getting ahead of that and saying, you know what, this is a public safety issue. This is a health crisis. Fentanyl is a health crisis.
It is.
So making it available to everybody shouldn't be an issue.
Right. That was kind of the bulb that went off
Right.
on my head.
That's kind of what we're pushing for.
Yeah.
But we obviously do want to keep the sales that we do directly.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
And there is some element of extra safety for officers using these in the field compared to traditional tests, is there not?
Oh, yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, we did another test with the State College of Florida in Manatee here. And we had students take current test kits that are used. I won't name any brands.
Right.
But they're plastic pouches with glass ampules and like full strength acids and other caustic chemicals.
What you've seen them on cops breaking on the
Exactly.
hood.
Yeah.
I was going to say on cops.
Yeah.
You see 'em
Okay, yeah, okay.
So
going in.
Yeah.
really, the difference is it's a shorter test time, shorter response time, and it's safer. Because with the glass ampules and the plastic pouches, that glass actually does end up poking through the plastic a lot of the time. We had a student that actually he got poked like 5 or 6 times.
Jeez.
Yeah.
We ended up
6
retiring
times.
him from the test because he got cut so bad one time.
Yikes.
And I mean, some of these tests have sulfuric acid, formaldehyde.
And we're talking about near 98, 99% strength. I mean, we're talking very strong.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
yeah, it's a little amount, but I mean, the thing is, it could get into you, and it's going to get on your skin. You don't want that. You're going to end up rubbing your eye or touching your mouth or sticking your finger in
get you
there.
sick.
And
Exactly,
you
it's
can't
gonna get
bat
you sick.
1,000 with the, like you said, the amount of traffic stops and things that are done in the day. I imagine those numbers are pretty astronomical.
Well, yeah,
Right.
too. Well, with the glass ampules as well, we've heard that a lot of people with the kits, when they throw their kits in their car or whatever, sometimes they break because their vests are too heavy, or that one med kit was just too heavy. Their shields cracked it, and it kind of stinks in the car, Ugh.
And they end up like throwing up in their yeah. Some officers that we've talked to have been like, yeah, no, we've like gotten sick in our cars,
Yeah,
and they end up getting a couple days off because of it. But
It's chemicals.
yeah.
So when the officer or whomever uses the wipe and it gives its response, it just stays like that?
yeah. I mean, it obviously has degradation to it, but
It's kind of a slow degradation, but
Yeah.
it does have degradation. Over time, you see that it does kind of it doesn't really fade out, but the color kind of sticks but changes. But like you said, it's a presumptive. You're only supposed to
why don't
see it
we
for-
why don't we
Yeah.
break one out here and do a test?
Yeah.
Sure.
Actually,
You wanna
let
do
me
a- yeah, go
try
for
and
it.
slide out here.
No, you're trapped. You're not allowed to slide.
Got right on the crack.
Here at Keep the Hotel Empty, we don't allow sliding.
Degradation. That's perfect.
Yeah.
You want me to get that part? I need the stick. Oh, it's right
So does it feel more like you're doing a magic trick or a Mr. Wizard demonstration?
Yes.
Do you feel more David Copperfield or Mr. Wizard?
Like a little in between.
Yeah,
Alright,
maybe
fair enough.
maybe Mr. Wizard, because it's like magic.
So,
Oh, man.
actually, you know what? Let me grab another wipe just so I can show you the difference.
And each one of the specific detections has a different wipe. It's not the same formula for all of them.
No, it's not the same formula. Yeah, it's
Okay.
all different.
So, let me scoot back closer to the mic. So I know that's going to be an issue.
You're good.
Hello, Mike. Mike is short for Michael.
That's right. Michael, mic check.
Michael.
So, we have 2 different bag types. And obviously, with some reagents, the shelf life is kept, or it's kept stable by separating the chemicals.
That's how the traditional tests work. Yeah.
Right. So what we were able to do is we were able to make what's called a frangible seal on our package. I mean, literally, this is the same material off the same roll, just with a different printing and a seal right here.
So for everybody listening, it's almost like a upgraded wet wipe, as it were, and everything is kept separate.
I mean, that's really the best way to put it. Almost like a wet wipe or a Buffalo Wild Wings wet nap.
Yeah.
Like, I love when you use that too, because it gets like, oh, okay,
It's
easy.
it's like a Cadillac wet nap.
Yeah, yeah, basically. So with the way the bag's made, it comes off a roll into a plow, and it goes through seal bars.
Mm-hmm.
So the seal bars we use to make the side seals are 2 hot bars that close together. So that's a seal that's not going to get broken without a lot of force or actual intent.
Right. It's basically fused at that point.
Right.
Yes.
So it's melted together. This material is multi-layered. So there's a foil, and then there's a sealing layer on the inside, and a bunch of different stuff that helps keep the shelf life stable.
And the integrity of the test, I imagine?
Right. Yep.
Okay.
So this is actually, this might be a fentanyl wipe that we made several months ago.
Yeah.
So it's still fresh. We put a little argon in the bag, and then the towelette gets inserted. It goes through a fill station where you put the chemicals in. Then it goes through another set of seal bars for the top. Now, when it comes to the frangible bag, it gets the side seal, and then the seal that makes the frangible seal is a hot bar and a cold bar. So it has the ability to break. So what I'm going to show you is essentially the one extra step to opening the product and getting it working.
Gotcha.
So we have the towelette in the bottom chamber, separated by the frangible seal and the chemical at the top. If you want to go ahead and put out the piperidine, which is a precursor ingredient for PCP.
Okay.
And or meth.
Can be substituted in methamphetamine, etc. So we'll fold the wipe in half. I don't know if this is a good angle for it, but it'll pop.
Okay. And that split the seal in between the chambers. Gotcha.
And we'll merge the chemical onto the towelette. Tear it open.
So we got a little splotch of the chemical on some glass here. The wipe has been activated by the chemical in the separate part of the pouch. There you go. Well, that was instant.
Yep. Blue is positive.
I need to get a picture of that. It's like put it in post.
Yeah.
And we chose to do M39 first so you can also see the part of the degradation that we talk about. Like we said, when it comes to presumptive tests, depending on your department and your department policies, you have to do and follow rules that you have to do. Sometimes paperwork, sometimes photos and all that. But that's also the big thing about it, presumptive test. This isn't going to be going to court. This isn't saying, hey, I'm taking you to court right now, you're in trouble. This goes, hey, I think you have something. I have to send this to our lab.
And
But
that's
you're
the
in
way
trouble.
the predecessors of this worked as well.
Yes, that's
Essentially,
exactly.
this
so,
says I have permission to search.
exactly.
Okay.
So,
And the
or
best-
in the fentanyl case, let's get the fuck out of here.
Right.
And the best part about the wipes that we've seen so far that, and all presumptive tests have their own niche, their own great thing about them. But the one thing that I love about ours is the fact that they could do pills, powders, liquids, and paraphernalia. I mean, it's almost an open door to every one of them.
So if you just had any old random pill, you just touch it to the wipe and it tells you?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Both of these are being demonstrated with liquids, obviously.
Yes.
Right.
But when it comes to the explosive wipe that we brought for ammonium nitrate, alphatics, the ANFO, that is a powder. And we also brought some powder to demonstrate the cocaine wipe.
So let me ask you this:
What kind of powder?
How has this gone? How long have law enforcement had this?
January of this year.
Yeah, they've had our product since January of this year, but like we said before too, these are the same reagents that have already been out there, that have already been approved with NIJ and NIST standards. This has already been in the same rule book.
This is just a better mousetrap.
Yep. Exactly, better mousetrap.
We have a
better,
different delivery method.
Exactly, different delivery method, different mousetrap.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So how has that gone so far? Did you do a pilot program with them first, or did they just jump right in?
We did a pilot program with
Palmetto PD.
Palmetto PD. We
Actually,
had 5
during
arrests,
COVID,
right?
Yeah, they made 5 arrests
With the meth wipe.
The meth wipe.
And they actually I believe it was MDMA and ecstasy.
Yep.
It was 2 different ones that we didn't.
And
think that we
they actually
had.
got a pot for bath salts.
Oh yes, and bath
Yeah.
salts. Yes. So
Well, Florida's a good test.
Oh yeah. But
If you want to find out
There's
what there
actually-
is, you can find it here.
there's a news article on that, I believe, right?
I think so. I believe so.
I can't remember exactly.
So were they doing these side by side with the traditional ones?
Actually,
Yes, they
yes.
were. It was a test.
That was in the test protocol, was that they were to use it side by side with the current tests that they're approved to use.
After they use their current test, please use ours and see if you get the same results.
Oh, gotcha.
We don't want to intrude in their own procedures or anything. It's just, hey, could you please give us a pilot test and help us out, see where we're at.
Because
So-
while the test doesn't go to court, in some cases they say, well, how did you acquire probable cause?
Right.
So that it needs to be upheld. That's essentially it.
Exactly.
It needs to be approved.
So how have things been going with them since January? Is that you just law enforcement here in Florida?
Actually, we've branched out a little bit. We got some people
Baton
in Baton
Rouge.
Rouge,
Arizona.
Northeast. There's a couple clients out there, but really we do have a pretty big scatter map of Florida. I mean, from north to south to east to west.
Yeah.
Because everything is headquartered and manufactured here?
Yep.
Yes, here in Sarasota.
That's what I thought.
And we do actually all of it.
Yep, me and Kei. Me and him are in charge of production management and product specialty and quality control and making sure that everybody gets the right customer service as well. That's the one thing that me and him like to pride ourselves on, is to make sure that we take care of our customers and any of our clients that need help.
Very cool.
It's important to us because these tests aren't just to get people in trouble, especially with the fentanyl one. This is a proprietary test.
Right.
Sometimes you need those questions answered right away. We could be there. It's just an email away or a phone call.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's a unique niche. Unfortunately, we're at a state literally and figuratively, where something like that is well needed.
Yeah, I mean, we go to trade shows like
HITS
the
conference.
HITS conference.
And PEEF,
American
Property
Corrections
Evidence.
Association, and we do sales, we pitch, but when we come home, we'll be available. We make ourselves available to go train the department if they want.
Denellen was one of my favorite ones that we did.
I probably really shouldn't say that.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So what's the feedback been like so far? January's pretty soon. I mean, we're not a year deep. How's everybody been so far?
Great feedback so far. A couple of people, you obviously have those people that they don't want to break their old habits.
Well, yeah.
But
There's no accounting for that.
Right.
Yeah.
But pretty much everybody that has it loves it. And I mean, we don't have a lot of data, but we did have one department send us images that we actually have posted on our social media right now of them using the fentanyl wipe, the cocaine wipe. I don't believe they sent any methamphetamine images, but no, it was really, really cool to see it being actually used.
Yeah, and I bet there's a lot of officers out there that are grateful to have a more concise alternative.
Yeah, they use it to wipe a bottle cap, some paraphernalia, and you can see like when they're wiping the bottle cap, it's just bright pink. It's so cool. So I mean, they weren't second guessing anything.
Yeah.
Very cool. So do you want to show me some of the other ones, or?
Yeah. Let's go ahead
Okay.
and get into the fentanyl here.
Yeah.
That's
That's not a sentence you say too often.
actually.
Yeah, I suppose you probably do. All right. Can you hand me that glass of water and then let's get into the fentanyl?
Bring your crack pipe to work day.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's got to make for some awkwardness around the office sometimes. Hey, who's got the explosives?
I mean, sometimes this is probably something that should be said off record, but Sometimes we have to synthesize small amounts of our own explosives. Like that ammo, we made it ourselves. So it's
the fun.
Yeah.
It's the fun in it. Oh man, this is my favorite. Not. So this is your regular street trank or horse tranquilizer, xylazine. As you can see the bottle right here. I'll let you take a peek.
I'd like to mention that xylazine, unless it's actually injected into your bloodstream, is safe. Obviously, I wouldn't touch it with your bare hands.
Right.
But just being around it being in the open, it's not going to do anything.
We're not asbestos status.
Right.
Yes.
That's actually why we were like, okay, you know what, we can bring that.
Yeah.
It's no big deal.
Very cool. Well, I definitely appreciate you giving some demonstration to it all.
Absolutely. So go ahead and put it down. Unlike the frangible seal, all you have to do is tear that open, pull out your wipe.
Because whatever it needs to detect is already on the wipe.
Yep.
What's the reason for splitting these? This chemical can't be on the wipe for too long?
Right. And look at that. That's already positive for xylazine.
Instant.
Which, xylazine is something that people do use by itself.
Yes, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think. I mean, you're talking about a horse tranquilizer. I mean, I used to have a horse, and we saw them use xylazine, and you see the horse go all the way out shaking, and then yet you see people here using it on the street.
Is this
It's
like
crazy.
the upgraded ketamine, or is this like a
You could honestly,
chemical
you
kissing
could,
cousin?
Yeah, you could kind of
basically.
say that. Yeah, it's the kiss of death. It really is. It's insane. It's bad.
So I imagine, maybe I shouldn't imagine because I have no chemistry background, but this would then detect ketamine as well?
As long as the opioid structure is the same or similar to fentanyl, which I actually believe this wipe does detect ketamine.
I believe it does. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because I know that's a pervasive thing in certain club worlds, almost the same thing as fentanyl, where they
I heard somebody talking about
Don't
using
know-
ketamine on the radio the other day.
Well, there's
Oh, yeah, that
ketamine
was so
treatments
weird,
have
yeah.
become popular now.
Yeah.
It's the microdosing thing gone in a different.
shrooms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a whole different discussion. We're gonna push the boundary there. That's
No.
all good with me. But
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where there's definitely some public safety involved. You know,
Right.
Oh yes, of course.
and that's really cool. You can empower people
Go
to
ahead, grab the info. The AN should be over there.
empower people to be able to kind of take some responsibility for their own safety in some regard.
Right.
There's not a lot of that, so
Well, exactly. It helps eliminate the whole making you feel like you're gonna get in trouble. You know, like you said, we're not really trying to push that whole thing, but it's like everybody deserves to feel safe.
yeah, I was going to
And
say the
deserve
backbone of it's safety.
Yes, the whole background is safety and making sure that everybody just has the knowledge.
Right.
So you know, without getting too.
I mean, like we said, there's a big push for us to try and distribute this with harm reduction and with Narcan.
Right.
So that's
No paper towel.
something we would really like to do.
Yeah, that makes good sense. You know, and everything is changing so quickly. It's good to have some options kind of ahead of the calamity.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to clean this off really quick so we get a better.
Yeah, you're all right.
What do you see the avenue for the explosives? When I think about things like that, I have more of a background in the entertainment industry, and you have things when people. So is this the type of thing that you can see going to like security at venues,
Absolutely.
stadiums, things like that?
Absolutely. That's actually kind of its intended target. Military, obviously bomb squads that need that
Right.
post blast, presumptive detection before they go start mass specking it, sending it to the lab and all that stuff. But this is something that's easily used or utilized by a cruise line or event security at a Rays game.
Or even like mailrooms in big office buildings.
That's where I was headed.
Yeah.
'Cause we actually even inmate mail.
Yeah.
Right, there you go.
Yeah, because
Especially with the drugs.
paper
Yeah.
can be sprayed with chemicals and
Right.
dirty attorneys.
Yeah.
It happens. People have come to us with that issue. Being an R&D
You get the
lab, we really do reach out to our customers and say, hey, how is this helping you? How can we improve the product? What would you like to see?
What's one of the more far-fetched things you've heard? Scenarios that you just didn't see at all?
There was at one point we tried to do our perchlorate and chlorate test on the same wipe.
Yeah, that was weird. It was literally 1/2 and 1/2 on the same towelette.
And that was trying to address a need somebody brought up to you?
Yeah,
it was-
somebody really wanted to be able to look at both without having to switch products, which, I mean, when it comes down to something this simple to use, switching
Yeah.
products and...
That's a pretty minimal task.
Exactly. Yeah, it like we said, open, wipe, and look.
Yeah, right.
Wait 15, 30 minute, you're there. Boom.
And obviously we don't discount anything. We'll try anything once.
Yeah, sure.
You know?
Exactly.
Well, that's part of figuring things out.
It's like we didn't really step into marijuana detection because of, medical and recreational. So there wasn't a lot of departments that we were talking to in the development stages that said, hey, yeah, we need a marijuana test, et cetera.
Right.
But then as we started going to more trade shows and whatnot, we had people going, well, can you detect marijuana? Oh, can you detect spice?
Yeah, that's where you see more of a consumer. That's where your
That's where that
CVS and
market
Walgreens
Right.
type thing, your at-risk youth.
And corrections has been
Department of Corrections was big
really
on it.
been on our behinds about like, hey, can we get a marijuana test from you guys?
Well, and that's where your inmate mail is a bigger thing too. And as long as we're on the fringe of it, do any of these, and I know it's not quite the 60s anymore, but inmate mail is what made me think of it. Do any of these test for LSD?
I don't believe we have something testing for LSD specifically right now. It's something that we want
No.
to venture into.
We're venturing into it. We're doing a lot of research and development, and we think that we can get there, but we're still trying to get into it. We're
Yeah, I
still
know that's
doing
kind of a
our
weird
reading.
fringe one, but that's definitely one where you're eating your mail.
Yeah, I'm trying to explain it in layman's terms. But when we go researching reagents to use...
What? I hate to interrupt, but what can you loosely define for me reagents for anybody that doesn't really know? I get what you're implying.
So reagents is a combination of chemicals that have a colorimetric reaction, which means turning a different color
Okay,
when mated with the target substance.
gotcha. Okay,
So it's essentially a basic science experiment. Like, oh, I'm going to put this and this together, and when it hits this, it's going to do this.
gotcha.
So
Okay, so when you go out searching these things,
yeah, it's a lot of the information about reagents is publicly available. You just got to look hard enough.
Yeah, you got to definitely.
chemistry been around a while.
Right.
Oh yeah,
But
definitely.
there are some reagents like the Marquise reagent, which are sulfuric acid and formaldehyde. There are no other ingredients. So no matter how you put it, you can't put it on a towelette and make that safe to handle.
Right.
So that's something we don't do. We don't do the Marquise reagent. That's why we try to keep all of our products separate. The Marquise reagent is, for short definition, it's a multi-test. It will test a multitude of different substances with different additives. So you have the base test, and then it comes with a bunch of different chemicals that you put into it.
It comes to
tailor
like
it to
9 to 12 different chemicals, and you either add A drop with the B drop or A drop with C drop, and then
Oh,
you'll
Lord.
get this color. But it usually starts off.
There's
with
a chart. There's a chart that folds up into like a pocket size that they give to all
man.
the
Yeah,
officers.
it's-
It's insane.
I guarantee no one wants to do that. Your list of people lining up to do that is probably actually zero.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
But there are so many departments that use that test.
Well, that was the option at hand.
No,
Yeah.
well, exactly. That was the option at hand at the time, and that's what they were presented with. And like we said before, sometimes it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks,
Right.
and that's where it's just at too.
But I mean, I guess the point of that was sometimes the reagents that we research to develop onto the wipe, they can have different strengths of acids that sometimes it takes a while for us to figure out how to reduce that acid's strength and make it, environmentally safe to handle. or find something that substitutes the acid within the NIJ certifications.
Yeah, that's the framework you have to operate in
Right.
to have these people as your clients. I
Yes.
gather. Gotcha.
So I mean, we can order a reagent in 3 days. We can go from request to ordering chemicals in a matter of hours. But it's the part after receiving the initial chemicals and going, okay, how do we tailor this for our delivery system?
Gotcha.
Because we like to pride ourselves on the fact that this is EPA safe. If you haven't detected fentanyl or you haven't detected methamphetamine, you can just throw this in the trash.
That was going to be one of my next questions.
You don't have to neutralize anything.
Yeah, a lot of the older kits, you have the neutralizing, a baking soda or another little separate baggie, and it's just kind of a hassle because you'd also have a separate trash can for that and have to keep track of it, make sure you don't get audited,
Plus, you
regular.
got the whole glass routine, and if anybody cuts themselves, then you're a biohazard on top of
And
it.
then you got another guy that's got to do the test again. You got to get a different kit.
Yeah,
So
'cause
there's a lot of waste involved with the other kits, I would say.
And liability.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't want to run us too close on time, so I'll
No,
go
we're
ahead
good.
and demonstrate this.
Yeah.
But this is one of our explosives products. This is AN37.
And this again looks like a Cadillac wet wipe.
Yep. This detects aliphatics, which we put a description on the bag, which is like RDX, PETN, ANFO, anything in that realm. So, just like the methamphetamine wipe, fold that, pop, marry the chemicals.
How long did it take you to develop that bag?
It's funny enough you actually asked that question. My dad developed that. It took him about, I want to say, less than a month. Honestly, really, it took him about 3 weeks. He sat there. He knew what machine he wanted. He goes, "I want the IM7. I know what size I can do. I know where I'm at." He used to work on them with Clockner Bartelt back in the day,
Awesome.
a long time ago. And he started off with a piece of paper and staples. And I promise you, seriously, it was a piece of paper that looked just like this, but it was folded in half and stapled on the sides. And he had two of them, one regular, so it was just like our fentanyl wipe, and then the second one had a frangible seal, but it had staples in it to prove a point that there was a frangible seal there. And he goes, "This is our bag, and this is a machine that we need to make it." So him and our CEO went to, I forget exactly where, and they bought this IM7. And Dad goes, "We're making a 6-inch bag, and we're putting a 6-inch towelette in it, and this is how it's going to be." And somebody told him no.
This is the
Somebody told him no. And that's
Actually, I will say, shout out to Sunshine.
yes. Sunshine Automation has been the biggest help with all the recent upgrades to our machine with the new inserter and towelette unwinder. It's really been
It's actually the only modern part of the machine.
Very
besides
cool.
those,
It's the only
pumps.
Yeah.
Besides the pumps.
Yeah, we have
besides
some
the Cadillac pumps.
Nice ass pumps, but really, those are the only two parts of the machine that aren't like ancient.
Well, that's so cool though to kind of bring the best parts of the old technology with a little bit of helping hand of the new technology, and you're ultimately further ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
hell yeah. It's awesome.
Greater than the sum of your parts there.
Yeah. So this is one of our easier towelettes to work with because it's a gray white background and you're looking for a pink color. So
Easy.
real time.
So for anybody just listening, it turns color basically immediately.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could pick them up.
Yeah.
and
Let me get some on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no second guess needed.
No.
No.
No. That presumptively tells you that there is ammonium nitrate based explosive, aliphatic, PETN, type stuff in front of you.
So how does TSA take advantage of a product like this? They're not wiping down everyone's shoe
No.
in the famous case of Shoe Bomber.
I guess I would say really the way they would approach that would be, you send your bags through the X-ray.
Yeah, it more or less it depends on what gets hit with the L3 machine too, because the thing is that you can't really stop the whole system. You're going to have to keep that whole system going, because you stop that, we're going to stop and cause a lot of problems and cost a lot of money, and a lot of people are going to get fired. Oh yeah. So when it comes to stuff like that, when something gets tagged, it's tracked and followed, and they find the person whose bag that is, and they pull them and they keep them separate. And it's either that's when they decide that they're going to do it there. You know, it all depends on the situation. But
Yeah, realistically, you would use this if you had a suspicious bag.
Gotcha.
You wouldn't
see one
preemptively
sitting-
go and wipe every bag.
Yeah, that was my
down.
question. This is meant to be used not in a preemptive way.
And the same way goes for event screening. You see something weird in the bag. Okay,
Somebody
let's
suspicious.
wipe that.
yeah.
Right. And that's really non-invasive too. I mean, if you were going into a concert or going into something and they just had to wipe your thing quick, that's understandable in the name of we don't want to all blow up here.
Yeah, and really, all you do is, as security personnel, you keep an alcohol wipe on hand and just wipe up after yourself. Wipe the product off.
Right.
You know, well, you're testing somebody's phone or somebody's purse or somebody's backpack. Just take the alcohol wipe and wipe off the area you wiped.
Yeah, it seems very non-invasive for that kind of definitive evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we want to show one more? We have the last one.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
go ahead and
yeah,
show the
absolutely.
If you
cocaine.
don't mind.
Yeah, no, I don't mind at all. I love it.
One.
While you grab that, I'm gonna take pictures of these too.
Should we show the instruction card at all? The fact that it's simple.
No, it's all right. less for them to explain to the non-video listeners,
Exactly.
Yeah.
the non-visual listeners.
Wait a minute. Which one is this one?
So this is lidocaine.
Oh.
Lidocaine has a very similar structure to cocaine. So
And it looks like it almost too, doesn't it? I was gonna say.
what I will say about using the analyte in this case is it's not as strong of a reaction.
Right.
So if you go and wipe actual cocaine or a crack pipe,
You'll probably-
this thing's gonna turn bright blue, bright sky blue. But it takes a second to get there because of it, like.
This is
Yeah,
just an
right.
analyte. This isn't the real.
Yeah,
substance.
exactly,
It's-
exactly.
And that's where we come into trouble sometimes when it comes to testing at the lab. We have to actually order specific reagents online from Sigma or Thermo Fisher. It all depends. There's sometimes our help from FIU and everybody else. A lot of our help from our local scientists that we have as friends.
Very cool.
So just like the fentanyl wipe, you just tear this open, you pull out the wipe. It's pink. We're looking for a sky blue reaction, very bright, vibrant blue. So, like I said, since it's an analyte, we'll take a little bit of time, but after a while, here, why don't you put some more down?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this while you're doing that. And I hate to keep coming back to this because I know it's not exactly your company goal, but it's the public safety thing that keeps ringing in my head. If someone had a fentanyl wipe, let's say, can you touch your pile of drugs, see what's in it, and then still do them?
Essentially, I mean, there's no free liquid being deposited,
Okay, that's kind of what I'm asking.
so
That's a much more intelligent way of putting it.
in this case, since we were using liquids as analytes, there's free liquid.
Right.
But
because they just inherently homogenize to some degree when they come in contact.
right, yeah, But yeah, since it's an analyte, this is lidocaine. You can see the sky blue, but it takes
I don't
a
know
little
why
while.
it's not.
Yeah.
Because it's
think-
old lidocaine.
I was gonna say, I
it's
think
been
this
sitting for a while.
lidocaine shot. I tried mixing with a little bit of water just to see if we could get it to pop a little bit better.
My hands are sticky.
I know.
Like I said, I know it's not exactly your focus, but it's one of those things that just runs so. It's just so goddamn dangerous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That even
really is.
even if 10%, even if 1% of the people in that position could know better, could be really advantageous. Oh yeah, you can see it. now.
I would really like to have it available or more readily accessible to schools, even.
What have you ever thought about other countries like Canada and certain European countries that have safe places for people to do drugs, where some of these facilities not only help with providing clean drugs, but they also have some apparatuses in play to test drugs for users. Have you ever thought about places like that being able to have these?
I don't think that's a road we've necessarily gone down. More so just available to the general public.
Yeah, we don't want to push too far to where to our clients, it looks like we're kind of playing both sides. You know what I mean? In a way,
Well, your
you know?
main side seems to me to be public safety.
Yeah.
Right.
And the nature of those facilities is solely public safety, although it seems a little bit back-asswards to Americans in that we're letting people
I guess
do
that would
drugs.
play into another country's harm reduction system.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
It all
So
depends on.
in that case, if we're selling to a government nonprofit harm reduction
Right.
organization.
That's what I'm talking about.
then
Yeah.
that's something different. When they're distributing that amongst harm reduction supplies,
Narcan.
That's the same thing because these facilities always have that on hand. You know what I mean? It's more to help people, obviously, who have addiction issues be as safe as you can be doing an inherently terribly unsafe thing.
Yes.
right? Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, somebody that we've talked to from the harm reduction field has suggested, have people distribute the stuff at raves.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's kind of my thought because I come from that school of 90s raves where people took weird drugs and died all the damn time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And nobody had any idea of knowing
Knowing
what rat
what it
poison
was
they ate
or-
or not.
And it happens so often nowadays.
Right.
I mean, actually, probably more often than,
Then not.
Yeah.
or like, it's
Well,
steadily on a rise.
Well, the
really.
pantheon of drugs has expanded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now you see things like ketamine become fashionable party drugs, and
Yeah, I know. It's crazy to think about that.
these have all become vehicles for fentanyl.
They have it. It's
Essentially.
hearing some of the stories from your other work and everything. Just people handling raw fentanyl and then going, well, sometimes it's not enough. I really need to actually get on to xylazine or ketamine. And it's like, holy crap, you've resorted to the point they get so used to using full strength fentanyl that they're using other drugs to mix with fentanyl. And
Right.
It's like, oh my gosh, you're getting to the point where sometimes you're using, some people they were telling us, they're using 2 or 3 Narcan shots on one person.
That's wild.
And that's crazy to think. I mean, and it's,
Or even in some cases, 1 to 2 to bring an officer back.
yeah, 1 to 2 just to bring one officer back. And it's,
Well, and this is why these sorts of things are really invaluable, and it's cool that you're adapting with the times as well. Somebody has to, but it's always I imagine it always is some kind of elliptical game of catch up.
Yeah.
it kind of is, yeah. It's,
Really, the one thing that we really like to push over the other detection kits is this is faster, it's more durable. You can put this in your pants pocket. If you're wearing a shirt with a pocket, you can slide it in the shirt pocket. I mean, it's not something I talk about very often, but back on subject, I used to do armed security, and I would work at like arcades and stuff, the gambling rooms.
Right.
So a lot of users as traffic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like he said, there were times where I encountered a dude using like raw fentanyl in the bathroom.
Bad idea.
I was
crazy.
really happy I had some of this in my pocket.
Yeah, because for everybody who doesn't see this, you're handling the wipes with your bare hands. You're doing these tests barehanded. It's not like we're rubber gloves and hazmat suits.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Obviously, if you're
Dealing with fentanyl, you want to get out of there right away.
and
Yeah.
if you're an officer or something like that, or more in a formal situation, you're going to be using gloves anyway. It's part of your SOP to handle.
Oh, yeah, true. But I'm
So-
talking for average Joe who's got it in his shirt pocket or whatever.
Yeah, for average demonstration use and carrying it around, or an emergency response.
Right.
In a private setting, yeah, there's no reason you can't handle it with your hands.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and that's kind of what also Dad made it a point of too, is to make sure we keep the acids low, make sure everybody's safe. It's all about safety. In the whole general, we make this is the new delivery system. It's a little bit more safer.
Right.
So that's just it.
Yeah.
Eliminate the glass ampules and reduce the acid. Keep everybody a little bit more safer.
We're not trying to reinvent the wheel.
No.
We're just trying to bolt it on a different car.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah, a more modern one.
Yeah.
So where do you see this car heading in the next little bit here? What's on your immediate docket? What's the next hill you really want to summit?
Well, we just started getting onto Police One. We're starting to try and get more ads on there and kind of spreading the news of us to get out there and be reached out more and have more clientele.
And really, right now, it's a big marketing push.
Yeah.
Because you guys got a big hurdle of just awareness.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone through the paces of pilot testing this with Palmetto PD, obviously sending it off to other people who have wanted to test it, independent labs, the State College of Florida,
Department
FIU.
of Corrections.
I mean, there's been a multitude of people involved in testing it and getting it developed, but it went public in January.
Yeah, that's not that long.
Yeah,
in
so
terms
we're
of
still
things,
we're
that's
still
like
kind of
last
crawling.
week.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say we're
Yeah.
still crawling. You know,
Now
maybe we're crawling a little bit faster.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, now we've gone to
Think
trade
about
shows. We've established feedback from the people that have been using it since it's launched. And even then, we've made a few tweaks. So it's something that needs marketed. And
that helps the R&D.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
then you get more use.
Yep.
Exactly, because then we get the feedback, and that helps us just make the more feedback we get, the better off we are. I mean, for real, it helps us understand how it is being used in the way that we thought it was going to be used, and then what's another way to make it better if we can, if it's not already.
Right.
Like, what is somebody's gripe with it? What's their one issue with it?
What is it?
We always
Why is
wanna
it not
know that.
working? Yeah.
Yeah. How can we make it easier to use for you?
And the distribution is just the clutch way to do that. You can't laboratory test that.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
At this point, it's here we go. Buy it, use it when you can, and please give us feedback. Let us know.
I mean, because we can sit there in the lab and test all day. We can take it into the real world and test it all day. We know the wipe. We know the product. We know what we're using.
Right.
We know how to use it because we test with it. We're
work at it
the
every
ones who
The efficacy and the reliability you guys have got covered. How the practicality is going to unfold, they got to do.
Exactly.
That's the best way to put it. The practicality of it actually being in use by a real officer and somebody who's really using it for whatever they really need to use it for.
Somebody who's brand new to this going, oh my God, it's the Cadillac of wet naps.
Yeah.
How do I use it?
Exactly.
It stumps more people than you'd think.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Well, at least it's not a glass tube with some funky smelling stuff in it.
Yeah.
This is a far cry from that.
Yeah, I will say the meth wipe does have a little bit of a scent to it.
Yeah, the meth wipe has a little bit of a scent to it, and funny enough, the cocaine wipe did have that
Salt
and
and
vinegar smell to it, but since we've actually replaced it with a citric acid, I believe, instead of acetic acid, it has no scent to it.
I mean, again, for example, switching that acid was something that took shelf life to determine was an issue.
Right.
Yes.
Because have wipes sitting around for a few weeks, few months, they don't do anything. But then when it gets into the shelf life 6 months in, then we started noticing a little problem with the material.
Like,
Or
why
like
is the bag blowing up a
Oh.
little bit? Why is it
Why is it hard to open?
Yeah.
A little CO2 byproduct.
It
something.
started to
The
off
acetic
gas.
acid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it just. Oh, okay, I got you.
And that's the point of putting argon in. O2 is not your friend when it comes to packaging and everything.
Right.
O2 causes breakdowns and everything else like that. So you try to shove as much argon in, not too much, so you close the bag, but help stop, or slow down as much as you can as that of the breakdown time, if there is any, if we haven't fixed it already at that point.
Well, that's the fun part.
Yeah,
Exactly. Well, it is.
Citric acid was a perfect substitute for acetic acid.
Thank you,
obviously,
Nick and Dad, for that one.
Yeah, our I would like to talk a little bit about our colleague Nick Butler.
Yeah.
He started off as a State College of Florida intern. He went to UF and was a physics major.
Yes,
So-
he actually got, I believe it was well, what did we give off again for the SCF? I forget. Darn it.
The scholarship.
Yes, he
we
won-
give
he won
a
a-
scholarship and credit hours for interns.
Oh, very cool.
He was our first scholarship winner, and he really went somewhere with it. He decided to come back.
Nice.
And
And
now
work for
he's-
us.
Nice.
He's the man in the lab.
He is the brains behind a lot of this stuff with my dad. I tell you what, he kicks butt, and he's the man.
He actually helped us solve one of the biggest feedback issues with the fentanyl wipe when it first launched.
Oh, yeah.
Which was being able to see the color more vibrantly. against the orange.
Ah.
So, I mean,
Yeah, there's no mistake in that one.
Nick and Barry, they just excel at this. And where we fall in is everywhere outside of the lab.
Well, if you want maybe an ancillary bit of information that I might be the first person to give you, maybe not, but I'm actually colorblind and I can tell when they change.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm just.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
I
I've
would
got.
drink that water, but it's poisoned.
Yeah, I've been colorblind my whole life. Pink, blue, purple, they all look the same. Yellow,
Really?
green, orange, they all look the same. Dark enough anything is black.
But
Light
you
enough
can
anything is
still
white.
see. Is there
But
like
yeah,
a
I could
shade
see-
difference at all? I
Yeah.
don't really know
Yeah, yeah.
myself. Like as a real serious question, there was really no hard trouble for you at all.
No,
even with the
No,
pink shade.
No,
over
this
the
one
orange.
was the easiest one.
Really?
Yeah. This one that did the light blue was the
That was
hardest
kind of
to
a
see,
weird
but
one for a
I
second.
but I could still tell.
I mean, here
But it is a
after little
contrast
bit,
thing.
So.
Yeah, okay. So it is a contrast thing. So regardless of the fact that I couldn't see exactly the differentiation in the hues, I could still tell that it
That
changed.
there was a
That's
change.
awesome.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing too that we say, that my dad likes to say, is, if there's no color change on the wipe, you haven't detected anything. But that's the thing. That's true. No color change. Any color change that you see here, like our boxes even show, it's supposed to be blue, supposed to be pink, supposed to be like sky blue.
Gotcha.
If you don't have a color change, a positive reaction, you're probably just going to end up dirtying up the wipe. You might as well just use a new one after it gets a little dirty. You know what I'm saying?
So, since you mentioned that, I would like to touch on the fact that something we've been thinking about is how to help address a colorblind person using the wipe. So, we've been brainstorming ideas as far as putting colorblind filters from Photoshop over images of the wipe with the reaction on it.
Interesting.
So, and just making an area on the website where that's visible.
For people that have color blindness, that's like
Right.
red, green.
Yeah.
For the
Right.
people that
Even
have
though they
specific.
probably kind of already have an idea, but it's to help reach out and make sure that everybody has that possibility to understand, because information and knowledge is very key to life too as well.
Yeah.
Because there's got to be colorblind police officers.
Oh, most
Oh my gosh.
definitely.
Oh,
yes.
It's actually
Yes.
It's
something
very common.
ridiculous. Like 50% of males have some
That's what
type
I've
of
heard.
color blindness. It's
Yeah.
way more predominant in males than females, and there's tons of different degrees. There's quite, no pun intended, but it's quite a spectrum of color blindness out there.
Yeah. That's actually kind of the stuff we've been reading into.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
I
a
just
lot of
figured
reading.
out.
Yeah, I used to help a company that did a piece of software so you could color code other pieces of software. Like Logic is a piece of
okay.
audio
Okay.
software, but
Yeah.
it's like all gray. I can't see
Oh,
it.
but you okay?
But
yeah.
with this other piece of software I helped with, we can change each individual cell to whatever color I want. So I can just make everything stupid high contrast so it works for me.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
is so
So if you ever want a colorblind guinea pig, I'm more than happy to do it. But it seems,
Now we
but,
know.
but it seems like you guys have got a really cool thing going there, and it's really awesome that you're conscious of that, because you're definitely going to run into users that are colorblind.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you guys giving us a platform to come on and talk about this and show it to probably a market that wouldn't have seen it otherwise.
Yeah, no,
for real.
and I think this is a really cool thing. Like I said, it's got to happen in lockstep with the future that we're facing, regardless of how happy anybody is about it or how ugly anybody feels it is or isn't. It's actually affecting people's lives.
It does. And hopefully my dad's biggest thing too, especially with the explosives, was I want to help people.
Yeah.
I want to save people. I want to help people. And that's the one thing that's motivated me a lot, was when I kept hearing him say that, I was like, I want to do that too.
It's
I don't-
very cool.
In some way, in any way possible, I want to do that too.
Well, empowering people. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's what it's all about.
Again, thanks to our CEO, Chris Baden,
yes.
who lets us
The best.
really just take the reins and develop the product the way we feel we need to develop it.
So cool.
Oh yes,
When it's ready.
that's our sandbox. I tell you
Yeah.
what, he listens to us. He listens to everything that we have to say. In fact, sometimes he goes, "Well, what about this?" And you know what? Oh crap, we didn't think about that. Thank you.
You know, sometimes
That's invaluable.
He brings
Oh, yeah.
really great information and great
Even
feedback
great
to the
people,
table.
you know.
Yeah.
All of our friends.
He's brought in Dr. Susan Hollowell for us, who's
Amazing doctor.
amazing consultant. She worked as the head of Transportation Safety Laboratories. She was a CBRNE expert for the military. I forget what branch.
I can't remember.
Invaluable experience.
Yeah.
Valuable experience.
experience.
She was a long time employee of the government and is
That's so cool.
absolutely integral in our development.
Yeah, well, those people that have such a broad stroke hindsight are the people that are going to help shape what use we can make of the foresight.
Oh, yes.
You know.
100%.
So, very cool, man. I very much appreciate you guys coming down here. I had a blast seeing this. I think what you're doing is so cool. And, man, I can't wait to see what the future holds for you and all the people that you help keep safe, professionals, drug users, and anybody in between.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Steven.
you so much. I really appreciate
Thank you,
the
Key.
time.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Eric.
you, gentlemen.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely,
Thanks for having
brother.
us.
Yeah, no problem.